Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. This is your Chelsea 21-22 tier list video. I'm always excited to do these because we round up the season, we get to go into detail and speak as much as we want or as little as we want about every single player in the Chelsea squad, and we end up throwing them in to a tier list that has elite level, key performer, met expectations, on the rise, underwhelming, and not part of the future plans. We're going to go through every member of the squad and we are going to see just how good each individual player was, in my opinion. As always, let me know in the comments down below. But before we get into that, I'm delighted to say that this tier list video is sponsored by the wonderful guys over at Skillshare. Why would you want to use Skillshare? There are so many different things now that we can do to make money, that we can do to enhance our abilities within our hobbies, and Skillshare is a website where you can learn through lots of various online classes certain things, such as I've been thinking recently that I might actually start wanting to do travel videos again. And funnily enough, two women that I met on my travels many years ago, Kristen and Nadine, actually made a class that was titled How to Be Confident on Camera. Now, although I'm pretty confident on camera, sitting talking about Chelsea every day isn't exactly the hardest thing for me to do because I do it in my sleep. But being yourself on camera isn't the easiest thing. So it's not just about what to do with YouTube stuff. You can learn so many things with the various different online classes that have been created for you. And the first 1,000 of you to go and sign up using the link in the description will get the first month for free. I will leave the link down below. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this. Even if you just try it out, go check the link in the description. If you do sign up, let me know what you end up learning. It could be something completely new, and who knows, it could end up being your job too. Check the link in the description. And without any further ado, let's crack in to the Chelsea tier list. If you saw the 2021 season tier list, we've gone with pretty much the same name of the tiers, but instead of tier 3 being above expectations, I said met expectations, because this year we didn't win a Champions League, but we did win 2 trophies. We begin with Kepa Arrizabalaga. I saw Ian Dark was talking about Kepa as being one of the flops of the Premier League season, which I find baffling if he's actually watched any football, because Kepa was in for Mendy during the African Cup of Nations. Eduard Mendy's Chelsea's number 1. Kepa has been the consummate professional as Chelsea's number 2. He didn't come to Chelsea thinking that he was going to be second choice goalkeeper. He thought he was going to be 72 million, big man signing, playing every single week. And I say that sarcastically, but Kepa only deserves credit for what he's done this season in a Chelsea shirt, in my opinion. I've said that he met expectations because he's not a key performer or wasn't elite level at all, really, because he didn't play enough because he's a keeper. But he did very, very well indeed when he came in. I think during the African Cup of Nations, Chelsea had a very tricky fixture list when Eduard Mendy was out. And I think Kepa did a brilliant, brilliant job. Yes, there is the story of what happened with the cup final against Liverpool, and he comes on and doesn't save the pen and all of this stuff. But once more, he raises his head, didn't complain, and I think we've got to be very, very blessed to still have Kepa at Chelsea Football Club. Moving into Azpilicueta. Now, this is one of the players who I really, really struggled to pinpoint where to put him, because the expectation that Azpilicueta is allowed to have for himself over his time in a Chelsea shirt has been top-level defender, be it right back, wing back, centre back, whatever it may be. Azpi's always done a wonderful job. But this season, I certainly think that the disparity in quality between him and Rhys in the right wing-back role was very clear. I think that overall, we saw more weaker performances from Azpi. Still, great Chelsea captain. I love the guy. But I know it's early in this video, and maybe you guys are going to shoot me down for this in the comments, but I'm going to put Azpilicueta in the underwhelming category here. I'm not going to lie to you. I think he could have done a lot more. And I think I expected better, so I can't put him in met expectations, and he certainly wasn't a key performer or at the elite level we've seen him at before. So that's where I'm putting Azpilicueta. Let me know in the comments below. Ross Barkley, yes, he scored the winning goal on the final day of the season. You could say he met expectations because I didn't have any expectations of Ross Barkley at the beginning of this season, but I don't think Ross is going to be a part of Thomas Tuchel's future plans. We saw him infrequently used, to be as polite as possible this season. Ross goes in to the bottom tier, propping up the rest of them. Trevor Chaliber, wow. When we look back to the beginning of the season, he absolutely stormed into this Chelsea team. We thought we were going to sign Jules Koundé. We didn't sign Jules Koundé. There were people concerned about the Chelsea defence. We started the season in such magnificent defensive form. Trevor Chaliber, growing in confidence week by week, scores that wonder goal against Crystal Palace, came up with other goals as well. I'd go as far as to say that in a season where Chelsea's defending can be kind of split into two, we're either awful or brilliant, I think Trev was, apart from a couple of games around December, January time where he kind of went off the boil a little bit, maybe confidence took over, I think he's been a key performer for us this season. Trevor Chaliber is into tier number 2. Moving into Benjamin bloody Chilwell. You guys know, I absolutely love this guy. And I think that they say that distance makes the heart grow fonder, or absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think that's the phrase, something like that. But with Chilwell, it feels like that with this Chelsea team. When Chilwell was there, we're top of the league. He gets an injury that wipes him out for the whole season, apart from that lovely cameo at the end of the game against Watford. And Chelsea's quality just diminishes quite dramatically. And it's not to say that Marcus Alonso was always bad when he came in as a replacement. He wasn't. But Ben Chilwell's quality, I think, is elite level. And I think as long as we can keep him fit and make sure that whatever he's doing in the off-season, pre-season, we maintain a level with Chilwell's fitness and with his management of his body that means that these kind of injuries don't reappear. Ben Chilwell was elite when he played for Chelsea this season. He goes into tier number 1. Moving into Andreas Christensen. And unfortunately for Christensen, all of the sour tastes come in towards the end. Now, I know Christensen's a difficult one because Maurizio Sarri said that he would be nervous before the game. There were potential talks, and I don't know this for a fact, but a lot of people criticise me for saying Sarri was right. You know, if you're going to be an elite level footballer, and I stand by the point I made on Twitter, if you're going to be an elite level footballer or be considered an elite level footballer, you've got to be ready, both mentally and physically, for the big games. That is not me belittling footballers who might have mental health issues whatsoever. But for us to really clarify what elite level means, mentality is a huge part of it. And I've always had questions about Christensen. Last season in the Champions League run, particularly the final, he delivered for us and he was correctly praised. But this season, he's not really been able to maintain a place. There's always been that uncertainty regarding what's he going to do. Is he going to sign? Oh, I'm going to sign now. And then he's, I'm not going to sign now. You know what I mean? Like, make your mind up. Underwhelming season from Andreas Christensen, in my opinion. Kai Havertz is number 4. I'm putting him into on the rise because we didn't see him kick on the way we thought we would see him kick on from scoring arguably the joint most important goal in Chelsea's history. And there were moments where we thought, yes, Kai Havertz is back. And then towards the end of the season, the biggest thing for me was, how can he be so tired? He's so young. Like, footballers should be ready for this at this point. So I'm still not doubting Kai Havertz's quality. I still think he's a wonderful footballer who has shone brilliantly in moments this season. But I don't think he met my expectations. I really don't. I think I expected more. So he goes into on the rise because it certainly wasn't an underwhelming season. Maybe it was. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hudson-Odoi also going into tier number 4 alongside Kai Havertz. It was underwhelming from Hudson-Odoi in a sense because we've kind of been waiting for the fireworks to just constantly go off like you're at Disneyland at the end of the day with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's got the ability to actually have that, but it still didn't happen. However, in the minutes that Callum Hudson-Odoi played, when he wasn't injured before the injury that wiped his end of season out, he was starting to become more influential in games for Chelsea, making big key passes into the final third, creating opportunities. And I still think that if we keep hold of him this summer, which I do think there will be players in those positions who do leave, we'll see Hudson-Odoi flourish next season. If Thomas Tuchel backs him, we've got to find a way that we use him to the best of his ability. This season he was filling in as wing back here, you know, a couple of games here and then dropped and then So I think Callum Hudson-Odoi has still got a lot more to do, but he's into tier number 4. Moving into another elite level player, Rhys James. This guy is, in my opinion, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Say what you like about him. I'm a Chelsea fan. I even buy flipping blue USB cords, all right? Rhys James is a world-class footballer who I think will go down eventually as one of the best right-backs there's been. I think he's that good. Yes, you might say, oh, Benson, you're jumping in here a bit too. I don't care. I'll probably be making Chelsea videos on YouTube or somewhere else in 10 years with like, I don't know, 3 kids on my shoulder, pulling my hair out if I've got any left. I don't know, that's just a prediction. But Rhys James is just brilliant. And even though he was injured for so much of the season, the stats are absolutely insane. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful bloke. Rhys James is going to the very, very top. He's already there at the very, very top, and he's going to stay there for his whole career. And I just hope he remains at Chelsea. Georginio is the next player. And I've put Georginio into met expectation because this was another season where Chelsea needed their experienced players to help us through turmoil, troubled times. And Georginio, I think, at times this season, once again, was very influential, very good. There were questions a few years ago from me saying, I don't really get what this guy does. I certainly do get what this guy does. And I think he is a very important member of this squad. I wouldn't say that he was key or elite at any real point, but he met my expectations. Moving into Ngolo Kante, this is a sad one for me because he goes into underwhelming. He didn't meet my expectations because my expectations of Kante are so flipping high. Not only from a personal perspective, because he's my favourite Chelsea player in the current squad, but also he's just been so good at football ever since I knew who he bloody was. And this year, he wasn't at the level that we've seen from him before. N'Golo Kante is in tier number 5. We move into Matteo Kovacich and he joins Trevor Chaliber in the key performer category. We all know that Matteo Kovacich is an elite footballer. I wouldn't say he was elite level throughout the whole season because once again, yes, I know it's ironic. I put Chilwell and James in there, but I think when we see the difference between Chelsea with James and Chilwell and then not, compared to Chelsea with Kova and then not, I think the most alarming difference is certainly those wing-backs. Kovacic has been brilliant. And I think for a period around like the January, February time, I think he was then at his absolute best. The goal he scored against Liverpool is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I remember it was just after New Year. I was still recovering from bloody dengue fever, so I kept falling asleep all the bloody time. And during the Chelsea-Liverpool game, I had a little nap. And I woke up about 30 seconds before Kova's goal went in. And it was simply sublime. He's got that in his locker now. The confidence that he has to go forward with the ball, to take shots, to make final passes incisively into the final third. He's developing massively. And I think he's become a key player in the Chelsea squad. We move into Reuben Loftus-Cheek. This is an ironic one, really, because I can't say that he met my expectations in a way because I didn't think he was really going to play. I wouldn't also say he was underwhelming because even though at times there were average performances, there were many moments where a lot of Chelsea fans were like, he's not good enough to be in a Chelsea shirt anymore. Even I thought at times, I don't know if Reuben is at the level that he could have ever got to. Is he ever going to be back at that level since that injury? But I wouldn't say he was underwhelming. I would say that Reuben's on the rise, but I don't know if it's going to be on the rise at Chelsea Football Club. I think, once again, the fact he got a lot more game time this season than he might have expected, or maybe not as much. But for me, I didn't expect him to get as much as he did. But that was because of Kante not being at his best or injured. Kova injuries. Georginio the same. So I think Reuben will move on. Don't want to put him in tier 6. But I think he's on the rise again by his own standards since that injury. We move into Lukaku. You guys guessed it, tier number 5. It was underwhelming. We expected so much more. We expected 20 Premier League goals. We expected not to go and flipping answer an interview saying, I want to go back to Milan. We don't want that. And for that reason, he didn't meet my expectations whatsoever. We expect so much more. And every player's ceiling is higher. So it's difficult, Trevor, he's in tier number 2 because we expected so little. So it's easier for him to make it way up the list. With Lukaku, we expected elite and it was underwhelming beyond comprehension. We move into Marcos Alonso. And I've put Marcos Alonso in tier number 3. I'd say that Alonso met my expectations, because I don't expect a lot from this guy. I do know that 2 good games in a row will absolutely then coincide with a third one where he gets taken off at half time or gets sent off or something, That's what we've learned to expect from Marcos Alonso over the years. And even though I would say there is clearly a massive difference in quality between Chilwell and Alonso, I think Alonso's done okay, to be fair to him. Let me know what you think. Am I being too kind? Am I being harsh? But I think Alonso has been pretty good, to be honest. And that's all we could have expected from him when you lose such a great player like Benjamin bloody Chilwell. We move into Eduard Mendy. Not as great as the season before. Still top-class goalkeeper. Moments where he does look shaky. Looks a bit fluffy. Looks a bit worried, perhaps. Or he just has like one of these little silly errors in him. But I think my expectations were met again. I've seen a couple of takes where people are saying like, should Chelsea look for a better goalkeeper? I think we need another Mendy season. And if it goes down again, maybe we look for another one. Can we keep hold of Kepa? I'm not sure. Will Chelsea bring in a keeper of the same quality as Kepa to keep the pressure on Mendy? That is an important conversation that I think I'm going to save for another video. We move into Mason Mount. Chelsea's Player of the Year. Goals and assists galore. Brilliant performances. Mason Mount is an elite level footballer. I'm not even surprised about this anymore. At the beginning of the season, if I was to place a bet with serious financial backing, or maybe just a fiver, who knows, or a pound, doesn't matter, I'd have probably bet on Mason Mount to be Chelsea's Player of the Year. Even if I thought Lukaku was going to bag 30 goals, I probably still would have thought that Mason Mount would have assisted about 15 or 20 of them. He was brilliant. He is a brilliant footballer, and he's straight into tier number 1. Moving into Christian Pulisic. Now, this is hard. Because Christian Pulisic, by his standards, I wouldn't say is on the rise. But I will say that if there was ever a player in this tier list who there is a lot of other variables that need to be discussed, and I will discuss them. He's been played out of position so often. Again, he's managed to keep himself fit, but Thomas Tuchel's rotated so heavily that he can never build up a solid run of form. He's been underwhelming, because we do expect a lot more from Christian Pulisic. But in Pulisic's defence, it's not really been there for the taking for him as often as it needs to be for a player like Pulisic. There is talk that he might leave. There is talk he might also stay. It's a big, big summer, but I think that we all know that there is a brilliant player in Christian Pulisic. But will that be at Chelsea? I don't know. We move into Tony Rudiger, elite level, once again. Rudiger, gutting that he's leaving. I think that was the one of all of the defenders. If we'd have kept Rudy, I'd be very confident going into next season with a big budget that we can spend. But he's going. We couldn't get it over the line. So many off the field stuff that have affected this, whether Rudiger says it was that or not. Real Madrid come banging on the door. It's always going to be difficult to keep a player who is at the age that Rudiger's at, being offered redonkulous signing on fees. Rudiger goes into tier number 1 though. There is no doubt whatsoever. We move into Malang Sarr. I don't think he's good enough for Chelsea. I'll be honest, there were a couple of good games where we were in good form around Christmas. I remember at Brentford he was solid. But I don't think Malang Sarr is Chelsea level. And I think when we go out and spend on quality centre-backs this summer to replace the guys that are leaving, I think he's going to get left behind. I think he was in the squad this season because we didn't get Jules Koundé. Simple as that. Malang Sarr's tier 6, as is Saul Niguez. Played very well in the last game of the season, but he just never suited Chelsea. He never suited the Premier League, the pace of the Premier League. If ever there was a player who was quality in La Liga who just didn't make it in the Prem to really show the difference in the speed of the football between La Liga and the Premier League, Saul Niguez's time at Chelsea is the epitome of that comparison. Saul wasn't good enough. He didn't get enough game time. He didn't complain about it. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for that, but it's tier number 6. We move into Thiago Silva. We've got 3 players left. Thiago Silva, he's so flipping elite, isn't he? I don't think there are many bad words in the English dictionary that at least I can think of that I can even remotely associate with Thiago Silva. Not only that, but the guy loves Chelsea. His whole family seem to adore Chelsea. And when you hear him speak about the club, he's so humble and so grateful for the way that he's been accepted here after spending so much time at PSG. Yes, he's old. Yes, he might not be the quickest anymore, but man, if there was ever an example of how to defend, if you want to write a book, Mr. Thiago Silva, I'd even read it in Portuguese if it came from you. What a footballer, what a man, tier number 1. Timo Verna is tier number 5. It's a shame, I'm not going to lie, because Timo Verna, as I always say, is such a likeable character, it's borderline annoying that he just cannot seem to be consistent with his form. Still, incredibly unlucky with disallowed goals, hitting the woodwork, had a brilliant spell around April time as well, but overall, we just expect more from Timo Verna. Hard to get a run in the team, but he goes into tier number 5. We finish with the Z, Hakim Ziyech. And I'm putting Ziyech in tier number 4, because I remember there were a couple of times this season where he would come into good form, then he'd get another little injury. And I think that Hakim Ziyech would have been the player, if he could have stayed consistent and been in the team, that could have unlocked Lukaku better than many else. When Chilwell and James are taken out of the team and we lose those balls into the box, we lose that progressive nature from Chelsea where Lukaku was afforded more space in the middle. Hakim Ziyech was one of those players who could have got the best out of him. And I think of all of the wingers that we're hearing rumours of could leave, might leave, I think Ziyech's the one that I want to gamble on, personally. So for that reason, he goes into the on the rise category. I don't know what's going to happen between now and the beginning of next season, but let me know what you think of this Chelsea 21-22 tier list in the comments down below. This has been a very enjoyable video to film. I hope it has been just as enjoyable for you guys to watch. As I said at the beginning of the video, a massive thank you from me to Skillshare for supporting this video. It really is a brilliant service. First 1,000 of you to sign up, get a free month at the beginning. The link is in the description, and let me know in the comments too what you think of where I've placed these players. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Subscribe if you are new. Come on, you Blues.